Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inna alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh wa sallallahu sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Hayyakum Allah. So, just before we get into this, we were doing some muraja'ah, yeah? The brothers were saying ikhlas is
munafi an shirk wa riya.
Ikhlas, it does repel that, yeah. When someone's sincere, they're genuine, yeah, it's al-munafi shirk wa riya. So shirk meaning when you associate partner or partners with Allah in something, especially worship, yeah, more so worship and His names and attributes also. Wa riya, showing off, inconspicuous shirk. Okay, and we mentioned linguistically, ikhlas, sorry. I was about to say the linguistic meaning of shirk. Does anyone know that? Nasib means portion. The linguistic meaning of shirk just means the portion, nasib, i.e. when you give a right of that which is belonging to Allah to someone else. That's what it literally means. Or ishraq, when you partner up in something, yeah? But as for ikhlas, yeah, تخليص العبادة من لا تخليص العبادة وتصفيتها من شائبة الشرك والرياء. So it's the purification of worship and then refining it. Do you remember refinement? You know, when you sift something out and you put away all the earth and the dirt and the dust and you try to tasfiyah, refinement. Min sha'ibat ash-shirki war-riya, from the ill blemish or blotch of shirk. Because once shirk enters upon an action, then it does what? It spoils it. Okay, let's go straight into this. Ash-shart al-rabi'. So today's lesson, ash-shart al-rabi' is our fourth condition, and it is as-sidq. As-sidq, al-munafi lil-kadhib, that which repels deceit and lying. Al-mani' min al-nifaq, that which prevents hypocrisy. Al-mani' min al-nifaq, yeah? That which prevents hypocrisy. And we're going to go into that a little later, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So, ash-shart al-rabi', the fourth, yeah, condition is as-sidq, which means truthfulness. As-sidq al-munafi lil-kadhib, truthfulness which repels lying and deceit. Yeah? Al-mani' min al-nifaq, that which prevents hypocrisy. Okay. وَالدَّلِيلُ الصِّدْقِ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. وهم لا يفتنون. So alif lam mim. Do the people think that they will not be trialed? Meaning, do they think and believe that they will be left alone to say amanna, that we believe, ولا يفتنون, yeah, and they will not be trialed? وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ, and verily we have trialed those who have come before them. فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا, so that Allah will make those who are truthful manifest and known. وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ, and He will make those who are liars and deceitful exposed and known. وقوله تعالى ومن الناس من يقول آمنا بالله وباليوم الآخر وما هم بمؤمنين, and from the people are those who say we believe in Allah in the last day, وما هم بمؤمنين, and they're not believers. يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا, they try to deceive the believers, meaning they try to deceive Allah and those that believe. وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسُهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ. And they do not deceive anyone except their own selves, though they perceive it not. فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. And in their hearts there is a sickness, so Allah increases them in their sickness. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ. And for them is a painful torment. بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ. Yeah, بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ. For that which they used to do in regards to, spreading lies and being deceitful. ومن السنة ما ثبت في الصحيحين ومن السنة ما ثبت في الصحيحين عن معاذ بن جبل عن النبي ما من أحد يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله صدقا من قلبه إلا حرمه الله على النار. So there is an individual who testifies that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah and Muhammad is his servant and messenger. Sidqan, truthfully, min qalbihi, from his heart. Illa harramahu Allah ala nar, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will prohibit the fire for him. So sidq, what have we learned here? If it's said truthfully, i.e. when you make that testimony of faith, harramahu Allah, the fire has been made prohibited for you. This is found in Bukhari. Okay, we're going to go into this inshallah. قال إمام بغوي, قال إمام البغوي, who makes tafsir of the Quran, Alif Lam Mim Hasib an-Nas. Do the people think, meaning, do they literally think that we left alone? أظن الناس, أن يتركوا بغير اختبار ولا ابتلاء. Do the people think that we left alone without being trialed? Yeah? Without any form of tribulation coming their way, even though they just say we believe. أي بأن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. Meaning, just to say we believe and they will be left alone and not be trialed. لا يبتلون في أموالهم وأنفسهم. So you think they're just going to be left alone and they won't be trialed with their own selves. And likewise, in that which they possess from wealth. You'll be trialed by way of these things. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this now? كلا لنختبرنهم. كلا لنختبرهم ليبين المخلص من المنافق والصادق من الكاذب. So Allah does this, kind of translates as nay, we shall do this لنختبرهم. ليبين المخلص. We will do this in order to distinguish the sincere one from the munafiq, from the hypocrite. وَالصَّادِقْ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِ, and the truthful from the one that tells lies, the deceitful one. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done this, even though He knows all of this before it takes place. إِلَى أَنْ قَالْ وَقِيلْ وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Up until it is said, وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Meaning, do you think they will not be trialed? Yuftanun. How are they trialed, ikhwan? Bil awamir wal nawahi. They'll be trialed by way of adherence to the commands of Allah and the prohibitions. So that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trials us. You have commands in which we are bound, inshallah, to try, obviously uphold. Wal nawahi, which is the prohibitions. We have to obviously stay away from the prohibitions. وذلك أن الله تعالى أمرهم في الابتداء بمجرد الإيمان. Allah commanded them with Iman alone at first. So in the beginning it was just to believe. Then the trials came. Yeah? That's why Ibn Qayyim, he mentioned إن الابتلاء المؤمن كالدواء له. Verily, The trial and tribulation of a believer, كَالدَّوَاءِ لَهُ, is like medicine for him. Yeah? Why? Because it rids him of sins, dunub, expiation. Yeah? ثم فرض عليهم الصلاة والزكاة والسائر الشرائع فشق على بعضهم. He prescribed for them salat wa zakat, charity, and all other, aspects of the legislation. And this became hard for some. فشق على بعضهم. فأنزل الله هذه الآية ثم عازاهم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down this ayah and then consoled them. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. And verily we have trialed those that have come before you. Yeah? We have trialed those that have come before you. يعني الأنبياء والمؤمنون, meaning the Anbiya, the prophets, والمؤمنون, the believers. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ نُشِرَ بِالْمِنْشَارِ. And from those people were those that were sawed in half. That was their trial. وَمِنْهُمْ قُتِلَ. And from them those were, killed. They were killed in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَابْتُلِيَ بَنُو إِسْرَائِيلِ بِفِرْعَوْنَ. And the people of Banu Israel were trialed with Fir'aun. فَكَانَ يُثُومُهُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ. And he used to give them some of the worst trials and torment known. فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does this in order to make the truthful of those who are truthful known. فِي قَوْلِهِمْ آمَنَّا. In their statement when they say we believe. وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. And also we'll make the deceit and the lies of those that tell lies known also. وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمْ بِهِمْ قَبْلَ الْإِخْتِبَارِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows all of this before any of this takes place. Also, afwan, I forgot to mention, the linguistic meaning of sidq. This is a good one. The linguistic meaning of sidq. So we mentioned the linguistic meaning of knowledge, yaqeen, ikhlas, and sidq, truthfulness. What does it mean? Yeah? القول الذي يطابق الواقع والحقيقة. صدق means القول الذي يطابق الواقع والحقيقة. What does that mean? It's the statement that which conforms. It's the statement that which conforms to الواقع, the current situation, والحقيقة, and the reality. It's a statement which conforms to that which is the current situation, والحقيقة, and the reality. That's why, we have a bab, a majal in Islam called fiqh al-waqi', current affairs. Yeah? So when a nazila comes, a new affair, it's taken back to the ulama. Yeah? Waqi' means the current affair, that which is happening. For example, Surah al-Waqi'ah, the occurrence, that which is currently occurring. Yeah? This is a linguistic benefit. Barakallahu feekum. Okay. So obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows all of these things before it takes place. But some people will be like, you know what? Allah knows all of these things. He knows all of these things. But why does he put us to trial? Even though he knows it. Do I not have the ability to work righteousness? Am I doomed because Allah has written this for me? No. Two separate issues. What Allah knows, which he has written down in a preserved tablet, yeah, what he knows does not necessitate that what he knows of you makes you compelled to do certain things. For example, I'll give you a basic example. I have a son. I know if I go to sleep at a certain time, he will sneak into my room and steal the sweets from below my bed. I know this of him. Why do I know this of him? Because I'm his father. I know him best. My knowledge of what he will do when I fall asleep does not make him compelled to do it. It's only because I know that of him. Sahih? Now how about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that knows the creation and all that exists before it even coming into play? He knows all of this because it's his creation and he knows them best. And he allows these events to take place through his will. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. And you can never be able to do anything or will to do anything except if Allah willed that. So the point being, the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which encompasses all things at all times, past and present, does not necessitate, because he knows that of you, you're compelled to do it. Two separate things. You've been given free will by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you choose to act good or bad. Simple. Yeah? And that's why he brings the scales. This is slightly off topic. He brings the scale, idhar adlihi, in order to make manifest his justice. So when you come to him, Yawm al-Qiyamah, he shows you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need the scales for his own self. It's for you to see. Allah brings the scales so you see your actions. Allah knows all of this before any of it takes place. Yeah? وَمَعْنَى الْآيَةِ, so going back to the actual verse, وَلِيَظْهَرَنَّ الصَّادِقِينَ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ. So all of this is so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes manifest and known the sadiqeen, the truthful, min al-kadhibin, from those who are deceitful and tell lies. Hatta yujad ma'lum, up until it becomes known. Intaha mahal al-gharad, and then he goes on to say the purpose of what's been mentioned has come to an end. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from the truthful, first and foremost. Ameen. But there's always one fa'idah that, you know, it gets me. It's a nice fa'idah by Ibn al-Qayyim in regards to sidq. He mentions, Allah, in his noble book, has stated, لِيَسْأَلَ الصَّادِقِينَ عَنْ صِدْقِهِمْ. لِيَسْأَلَ الصَّادِقِينَ عَنْ صِدْقِهِمْ. Meaning, the truthful will be asked about the truth they spoke. SubhanAllah. The truthful will be asked about the truth they spoke. Ibn al-Qayyim, تعليق على هذه الآية, in commentary of this verse, he goes on to say, سُئِلُوا وَحُسِبُوا وَهُمْ صَادِقِينَ. SubhanAllah, he goes on to mention, they will be asked and they will be held account for the truth they spoke. فَكَيْفَ بِاللَّهِ بِالْكَاذِبِينَ. So how will it be with those who used to tell lies and were deceitful? So look, the truthful will be brought account for the truth they spoke. So how about those that used to tell lies? SubhanAllah, the truthful will be upheld, meaning accounted for the truth they spoke. Did they say ikhlasan lillah? Did they say it sincerely for Allah? Because some people speak truth, but there's a gharad, there's a purpose and intent for why he tells you the truth. Maybe he wants something from you. Maybe it's not the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It may not be what you think when this man tells you the truth. You may think it's for the betterment of your religion. No, he may want you, the individual you are, to do something for him. Wallahu a'lam. So that's why as-sadiqeen, they'll be, well, not literally, but you know, sometimes you find truthful people, they tell truth for other than the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? قَالُوا وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. And from the people are those that say, we believe in Allah and the last day. Al-ayat, هذه وهذا إخبار عما درج عليه المنافقون من إظهار الإيمان بألسنتهم. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, yeah, or stated about the hypocrites. من إظهار الإيمان. So the hypocrites will just make apparent their iman بألسنتهم, by way of that which they say with their tongues. Or إدمار الكفر. But they have a concealment of disbelief في قلوبهم, في قلوبهم, in their hearts. مخادعة لله, trying to deceive Allah. زعموا, and they claim and they allege, والمؤمنين كي يغتروا بهم ويركنوا إليهم. So they try to deceive Allah and also the believers so that they're misled by them. وَيَرْكِنُوا إِلَيْهِمْ. And also so that they lean and incline towards them. والنتيجة العكسية لهذه المراوغة هي خداعهم أنفسهم. So he goes on to say, the opposite was actually the result of this deceit. ولكنهم لا يشعرون بذلك فرط جهلهم بخبث تويتهم. So he goes on to say, they were in fact deceiving themselves, but did not know because of their utter ignorance and their evil conscience. Yeah? خبث تويتهم. والباعث لأولئك على هذا التلون والكذب هو الشك. So he goes on to say, what drove them to deceit and lying was suspicion. هو الشك. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا. So, in their hearts was a disease, a perversion, an illness. So Allah increased them in their disease. Yeah? فَجَزَاءُ مِنْ جِنْسِ الْعَمَلِ فَجَزَاءُ مِنْ جِنْسِ الْعَمَلِ. Meaning, you reap what you sow. You chose to be upon this disease and this perversion in your heart, so Allah increased you in this. The penalty is in proportion to the deed. هذه عقوبتهم في الآخرة. And this is their punishment in the afterlife. وذلك النذير قوله تعالى في كفار بني إسرائيل. And this is in relation to the disbelievers of Bani Israel. فلما زاغوا أزاغ الله قلوبهم. And when they deviated, Allah caused them, by way of their deviation, to be even more deviated. Yeah? والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. So when they turned away from Allah, yeah? When they turned away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the right path, Allah turned their hearts away. Allah doesn't guide a rebellious people. ونظير ما قصه الله عن المنافقين في آيات البقرة هذه قوله تعالى من سورة النبأ. In Surah Al-Naba, Allah tells similar stories about the munafiqun, or Baqarah should I say, and in Surah Al-Nisa. إن المنافقون وإن المنافقين يخادعون الله وخادعوهم وإذا قاموا إلى الصلاة قاموا كسالى يراؤون الناس ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا مذبذبين بين ذلك لا إلى هؤلاء ولا إلى هؤلاء ومن يضلل الله فلن تجد له سبيلا. Yeah? So he goes on to say, verily the hypocrites, يخادعون Allah, they try to deceive Allah. وهو خادعهم. And he goes on to mention that Allah, due to their perversion, deceives them. وإذا قاموا إلى الصلاة, and when they arise for the prayer, قاموا كسالى, they're sluggish and lazy to that very prayer in which they attend. يراؤون الناس, they do it in order to be seen by the people. ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا, and they don't remember Allah except a little. مذبذبين بين ذلك, they waver between two parties. لا إله هؤلاء ولا إله هؤلاء, neither with these nor those. ومن يضلل, ومن يضلل الله فلن تجد له سبيلا, and whosoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to misguide, he will not find a path, i.e. to righteousness and the right way. قال ابن سعدي يخبر الله تعالى عن المنافقين بما كانوا عليه من قبيح الصفات والشنائع السمات. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs the state of the munafiqun, their disgraceful attributes and characteristics, and their vile character. مخادعة لله. So they try to deceive Allah. Yeah? أي بما أظهروه من الإيمان, from that which they manifest from faith. من الإيمان. وأبطنوه من الكفران, and that which they try to hide from disbelief. ظنوا, and they think أنه يروج على الله ولا يعلمه ولا يبديه لعباده, thinking that they may go past Allah without His knowledge. Yeah, thinking that this will all slip away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, without Him knowing this. and he may not expose this to his servants. والحال أن الله خادعهم بمجرد وجود هذه الحال. So the fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has deceived them as manifested by way of their own thinking. So what it is now, it's a very good point to mention. To deceive, is it a good thing?
No.
No. So the asl is, I mentioned this in the Surah Sittah, to deceive is not a good thing. But when someone tries to deceive you, but yet you deceive them, in this particular affair, is praiseworthy to some extent. Because the intent behind it here was that you be deceived, but yet you deceive them. So as an asl, as a foundation, we don't do any form of khiyana. This is not a Muslim who does this, meaning it's not from the attributes of a true Muslim to do this. Not to say it makes you a kafir billah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated that they tried to deceive him, so he increased them in their lying and deceit. Yeah? I mentioned this in the Surah Sittah, yeah? وأي خداع أعظم ممن يسعى سعيا يعود عليه بالهوان والذل والحرمان. So is there any greater form of deceit than someone who strives only to be recompensed without content, humiliation and deprivation, yeah? Or to be deprived of something, yeah? ويدل بمجرده على نقص عقل صاحبه. So by itself, this indicates that the person is of unsound mental faculty. So the person that does this, he's of unsound mental faculty. حيث جمع بين المعصية. So that's when he combines between معصية, bad deeds, وراها حسنة, and he thinks that is good. وظنوها من العقل والمكر. And he thinks and considers his actions to be of sound goodness while being deceitful. فالله ما يصنع الجهل والخذلان بصاحبه. So what good does ignorance and treachery do to the person? ومن خادعه لهم يوم القيامة ما ذكره الله في قوله, he himself, or if he himself alright, so he goes on to say into the ayah, يوم يقول المنافقون والمنافقات للذين آمنوا. So when the hypocrites, men and women, will say للذين آمنوا, they will say to the believers, yeah, انظرونا نقتبس من نوركم. Yes, they will say, wait for us, انظرونا, yeah, or say انظرونا عفوا نقتبس بنوركم, or نقتبس من نوركم, sorry. So wait for us, let us get something from your light. قيل ارجعوا, it will be said, return. وراءكم فالتمسوا نورا, it will be said, go back to your rear, then seek a light. فضرب بينهم بسور له باب باطنه فيه الرحمة. Yeah? Okay. So a wall will be put up between them with a gate inside, and it will be mercy. وظاهره في قبله العذاب, and outside it will be torment or torment. يوم ينادونهم ألم نكن معكم. Yeah? Sorry, ينادونهم ألم نكن معكم. And they will call out, were we not with you? ومن صفات هؤلاء, so من صفاتهم أنهم, so from their attributes and their characteristics, the munafiqun, وإذا قاموا إلى الصلاة التي هي أكبر الطاعات العملية. So when they arise for the prayer, هي أكبر طاعة عملية, is from the most great or greatest practical obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the salah. إن قاموا قاموا كسالى, and when they do arise for the prayer, متثقلين لها متبرئين من فعلها. So when they arise for the prayer, they are sluggish and lazy, as if they don't really want to do it. والكسل لا يكون إلا من فقد الرغبة من قلوبهم. والكسل لا يكون إلا من فقد الرغبة من قلوبهم. So laziness is nothing but a consequence of loss of interest in the hearts. فلولا أن قلوبهم فارغة من الرغبة. So if the hearts were not devoid of any eagerness for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وإلى ما عنده عادمة للإيمان لم يصدر منهم الكسل. So he goes on to say, so if their hearts were not devoid of any eagerness or, diligence to being a good Muslim towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His rewards and belief in Him, they would not have exhibited this laziness. لم يصدر منهم الكسل. Yeah. يراؤون الناس. So when they do this, they do it to be seen of the people. أي هذا الذي انطوت عليه سرائرهم. Yes. So this is what the hearts conceal. It drives them to show off. وهذا مصدر أعمالهم يقصدون رؤية الناس وتعظيمهم واحترامهم. So he goes on to say, doing this, showing off in the presence of other people, only hoping that people will see, admire and respect them. ولا يخلصون لله, and they're not sincere to Allah. وعليكم السلام الله. فلهذا قال الله سبحانه ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also mentioned, and they do not remember Allah except a little. لِإِمْتِلَاءِ قُلُوبِهِمْ مِنَ الرِّيَاءِ, because of their hearts being full of hypocrisy. فإن ذكر الله تعالى وملازمته لا يكون إلا من مؤمن ممتلئ قلبه بمحبة الله وعظمته. So the continual remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only manifests or emanates from the heart of a believer which is full of love of Allah. ممتلئ قلبه بمحبة الله وعظمته. Yeah. This manifests from the heart of a believer which is full with the love of Allah and His greatness. And then he goes on to mention مذبذبين, those that waver. بين ذلك لا إله هؤلاء ولا إله هؤلاء. So they waver between basically the team of the believers and the team of the disbelievers. Yeah? This is a common trait. أي مترددين, hesitant. بين فريق المؤمنين وفريق الكافرين, hesitant to somewhat make their position shown either with the believers or the disbelievers. فلا من المؤمنين ظاهرا وباطنا. So they're not with the believers from that which is apparent or hidden. ولا من الكافرين ظاهرا وباطنا, and neither the disbelievers. أعطوا باطنهم للكافرين, and they've given their hearts to the disbelievers in truth, حقا. وظاهرهم للمؤمنين وهذا أعظم ضلال يقدر. So he goes on to say وظاهرهم للمؤمنين, and they've given their apparent selves to the believers in order to try to trick them. وهذا أعظم ضلال يقدر. So this is the most worst case of straying away from the path, i.e. the straight path. And that's why you find Ibn Abi Shaybah, he mentions in his مصنف علم المؤمن في عمله وعلم المنافق في لسانه. He said the knowledge of the believer manifests and makes itself apparent upon the limbs. وعلم المنافق في لسانه, and the knowledge of the munafiq, the hypocrite, is only upon his tongue. علم المؤمن في عمله وعلم المنافق في لسانه. The knowledge of the believer manifests upon his body, his limbs. He acts by this knowledge. وعلم المنافق في لسانه. And as for the knowledge of the hypocrite, it's only upon his tongue. ولهذا قال ومن يضلل الله فلن تجد له سبيلا. ومن يضلل الله فلن تجد له سبيلا. And he whom Allah sends astray, you will not find him a way to the truth. أي لن تجد طريقا لهدايته. He will not find a path to the guidance, i.e. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance. ولا وسيلة لترك الغواية, or a means to make him abandon his erroneous ways. لأنه إن غلق عنه باب الرحمة وصار بدله لكل نقمة. Because of the door of mercy has been closed in his face and replaced with vengeance. Yeah? فهذه الأوصاف المذمومة, so these blameworthy, these censored characteristics, تدل بتنبيهها على أن المؤمنين متصفون بضدها من الصدق ظاهرا وباطنا والإخلاص. So these disgraceful characteristics by themselves indicate that the believers have the opposite of these characteristics. So all of these characteristics which we mentioned, all of these bad, disgraceful characteristics, the believers have the opposite of them. From them, as-sidq. From them is truthfulness. And ikhlas, sincerity, inwardly and outwardly. وأنهم لا يجحل ما عندهم من النشاط في صلاتهم وعبادتهم وكثرة ذكرهم لله. And they are always active in remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? Performing prayer, giving charity, and acting by abundant ways in remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وأنهم قد هداهم الله وفقهم للصراط المستقيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided them to the straight path and given them success in that. فليعرض العاقل نفسه على هذين الأمرين. The wise person should consider these two things. وليختر أيها أولى به والله مستعان, and choose what is best for him. وقول من السنة ما ثبت في الصحيحين عن معاذ بن جبل قلت هو كما قال فقد أخرج الشيخان برواية أنس بن عن معاذ. So he goes on to mention this hadith ولفظ البخاري أن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام معاذ رديفه على الرحل. So he goes on to say, when Mu'adh was alongside him as a companion, alongside Prophet peace upon him as a companion, قال يا معاذ بن جبل. He goes on to say يا معاذ بن جبل. The Prophet mentioned قال لبيك يا رسول الله وسعديك. He goes on to say, yes, I'm here for you, O Messenger of Allah. لبيك وسعديك. قال يا معاذ. And then he goes on to say, the Prophet peace be upon him, Ya Mu'adh, O Mu'adh. قال, in return, Mu'adh bin Jabal mentioned, لبيك وسعديك يا رسول الله ثلاثا. So he mentioned this 3 times. I'm here at your service, O Messenger of Allah. That's it. قال ما من أحد. There's no one يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله that gives testimony to لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله, and that Muhammad is the messenger, صدقا من قلبه, truthfully from his heart, إلا حرمه الله على النار, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the fire prohibited for him. قال يا رسول الله, and he said, O messenger of Allah, أفلا أخبر به الناس فيستبشرون. Should I not tell the people? Yeah? Should I not tell the people about this? فيستبشرون, so that they, may be given these glad tidings. قال, and he said, إذن يتكلوا. He goes on to mention, إذن يتكلوا. They will solely depend upon it. وأخبر بها معاذ عند موته تأثما. So Mu'adh ibn Jabal, what did he do? He mentioned this just before he passed away. He mentioned this just before he passed away out of fearing that he may be committing a sin by withholding knowledge. He was fearful of the fact that if the people were just to say it, صدقا من قلبه, and basically not work righteous actions, the people wouldn't do righteous actions. That was his fear. But yet, he narrated it just before his death, رضي الله عنه. وشاهد من الحديث قوله صدقا من قلبي. Ibn Hajar goes on to say قال حافظ صدقا فيه احتراز عن شهادة المنافق. So he goes on to say this is safeguarding. When someone says صدقا من قلبي, when someone says this truthfully from the heart, the shahada, لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله, this is basically safeguarding him from the testimony of the munafiq. Because the munafiq, does he say it sincerely? No. The munafiq, he says it كذبا. The munafiq says it in order to make you believe he's from the Muslims. It's out of deceit. Sidqan He's not saying it truthfully from the heart. He might say it in front of you, ظاهرا, but باطنا لا يؤمن به. He doesn't believe in the shahada. So قلت بهذا يظهر لك تطابق الحديث مع أورده المصنف من الآيات. This confirms that the hadith agrees with the ayat that the compiler quoted earlier. قلبه على رد الشهادة إذا لم يجتمع مع لفظها اعتقاد القلب. So he goes on to say, the ayat that I mentioned, the compiler quoted earlier, that the shahada will not be accepted unless oral testification is joined by firm faith in the heart. So he has to say it openly. Yeah? وقد أكذب الله. Yeah? طيب. وقد أكذب الله المنافقين ورد قولهم مع تصريحهم بالشهادة للنبي بالرسالة إذ كان ذلك مقصور منهم على نطق بالألسنة. So Allah has falsified the testimony of the hypocrites and did not accept their shahada. He didn't accept it, even though they announced it to the Prophet, peace be upon him. And they even said he is the messenger of Allah. And that is because they merely said it by word of mouth. Yeah, إذا جاءك المنافقون قالوا نشهد إنك رسول الله. So when the munafiqun came to him, they said, verily you are the messenger of Allah. والله يعلم إنك رسوله. And Allah knows that really you are his messenger. والله يشهد إن المنافقين لكاذبون. And Allah knows that the hypocrites are deceitful and they tell lies. والفوائد من الأحاديث. So from the benefits of these two ahadith, you probably kind of guessed it already. منها جواز تخصيص المعلم بعض تلاميذه بمسائل من العلم دون الآخرين. So from the benefits of this narration, not really to some extent do you see this kind of happening openly, but it is permissible for the muallim to relay certain forms of knowledge to particular tullab on the basis that he believes they would understand, whereas others wouldn't. Yeah? So he goes on to say, إِذَا خَشْيَ عَدْوُ فَهْمِهِمْ لَهَا. So if the muallim or the sheikh, he fears that maybe some people wouldn't understand this affair, he would only relay this narration or some of the fawaid from this affair to particular students. Because what did he do in the last hadith? It was only Mu'adh bin Jabal that knew this narration. And Mu'adh bin Jabal, he narrated it just before death. You know, إِذَنْ يَتَّكِلُ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. He was out of fear that the people would rely upon what? Just saying it, صِدْقًا مِنْ قَلْبِي. Oh, I say it truthfully from my heart. I don't need to do actions and prayer and hajj and umrah and what have you. Yeah? This is what the fear was. That's why there's a bab in Bukhari, باب من خص بالعلم قوم دون قوم كراهة أن لا يفهموا. So basically there's a bab in Bukhari which, you know, is unique for just narrating particular forms of knowledge to only certain people, out of fear that some or the majority wouldn't understand. ومنها أن درء المفاسد مقدم على جلب مصالح. ومنها أن درء المفاسد مقدم على جلب المصالح. So basically there's a قاعدة شرعية to prevent mischief is preferred to bringing about benefits. So this is a قاعدة شرعية. So to prevent mischief is preferred rather than to bring about fawaid, even though there is definitive evidence for this. So we won't go into that for now. So just to somewhat round off and conclude with tonight's lesson, we'll just go through some of the ahadith pertaining to the characteristics of the munafiqun. So we have min alamat al-munafiq, min alamat al-munafiq. So from the signs of a munafiq, وَإِن صَامَ وَصَلَّى, even if he fasts and prays, وَزَعَمْ أَنَّهُ Muslim, and he claims that he's a Muslim, إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ, if he enters into a conversation, he lies. Yeah? وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ, and if he does what? He makes a pact or a trust, he breaks it. وَإِذَا he betrays that trust. These are from the alamat al-munafiq, the alamat al-munafiq. Yeah? Even if he claims he's a Muslim and you see him pray, these are some of the alamat, the sifat, the khisal, well, I should say khisal as qualities, but the sifat al-munafiq are these. Yeah? إذا حدث كذب, when he converses, he lies. وإذا وعد أخلف, when he makes a promise, he breaks it. وإذا أؤتمن خان, and when he makes a trust, he betrays it. And then we have the narration, إن من أشر الناس إن من شر الناس ذا الوجهين الذي يأتي هؤلاء بوجه وهؤلاء بوجه. Verily from the most, severe in hypocrisy are the individuals that possess two faces. Alaykum as-salam, rahmatullah. He goes to one people with this face and to another people with another face. This is from the narrations of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in regards to, yes, hypocrites. Yeah? So we don't make the positive statement, the tuhma jazima, that so-and-so is a munafiq because I heard him lie. We don't go around saying this, but we say it's from the alamat of a munafiq. Yeah? Obviously, if a person possesses all of these attributes, then we are to take it upon its apparent and be aware of the fact that he has the attributes of a munafiq. We don't literally say, he is a munafiq. Because you do find Muslims like this, sahih? You find they lie and you find they'll break trusts. They all do all sorts of things. Okay. So lastly, in regards to the ayah, أَحَسِبَ النَّاسِ أَن يَتْرُكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا. Yeah, أَحَسِبَ النَّاسِ أَن يَتْرُكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يَفْتَنُونَ. So the people think, do the people think that they will be left alone to say, we will, just say this Shahadah, just say we believe and not be, trial to some extent. So the best response to trial, so the best response to trial is not to blame others. It's not to blame others for that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed. But rather to respond with humility. Tadarru'. Trials are set to test our faith, li'imtihan. Islamina, li'imtihan al-Islam. In order to test our Islam and bring us back to the straight path. Whereas shaitan, he tempts us to act with arrogance. He tempts us to act in response to these things, the riddat al-fi'l, by way of arrogance, after we've been afflicted with fitna. But rather, as we see in the Quran, Allah brings the answer. فَلَوْلَا إِذْ جَاءَهُمْ بَأْسُنَا تَضَرَّعُوا. Then why, when our punishment came to them, did they not humble themselves? وَلَكِنْ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. But their hearts became hardened. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمَ الشَّيْطَانُ مَا كَانَ يَعْمَلُونَ. So shaitan made attractive to them that which they were doing. So in all affairs, remember, we are to act in accordance to humility and to understand that we've been decreed with this affair. So the reality is, ikhwan, when we are afflicted with an affair, we are not to react with uproar and arrogance. Rather, we are to make ourselves humble to that affair. Istighfar, dhikr, and to act based upon wisdom. فِعْلُ مَا يَنْبَغِي كَمَا يَنْبَغِي فِي الْوَقْتِ الَّذِي يَنْبَغِي. Meaning to do what should be done in the correct time it should be done, as it should be done. And upon that note, we'll leave it there. جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.